Hey there. Today we are going to talk about some cake that I'm making. My father-in-law just had his birthday, and because of all of the virus crap, the COVID-19 stuff, um, I was not able to spend as much money on supplies as I usually like to for his cake. I like to make him some fun cakes. Like last year, I made him a rum cake, a rum and orange cake with the Satsuma flavored Bayou rum. You know, gotta support local. And so instead, because everyone's struggling financially with everything that's going on, I am making him a Depression era wacky cake. Sorry, I'm stirring my frosting right now. It's called a wacky cake, and it's basically like this vegan, super cheap, super simple to make chocolate cake. I'm going to tell you guys the recipe today, but I also wanted to share that I made it gluten-free this time because I'm trying to prove to my father-in-law that gluten-free and vegan food can be delicious, because he's definitely a skeptic. And so I used the King Arthur flour, gluten-free flour, on my cake today, and I do think that changed the results a little bit. There are parts of the cake that are still a little tacky. I wouldn't call them raw, but they're tacky. Everything underneath is cooked, and it's a really, really moist cake, so some of that tackiness I know is just it is a truly moist cake. It's the best chocolate cakes. It's the best chocolate cake recipe that I know. And I've made some, good chocolate cake, chocolate and coffee, chocolate Dr. Pepper, all kinds of chocolate cakes. The people in my life love chocolate cakes, so I'm always making them. But this recipe is really easy. It's 1.5 cups of flour, 3 tablespoons of cocoa, 1 cup of sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, half a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of white vinegar, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 5 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and 1 cup of water. And so that's the basic cake recipe, and you just mix it up, and you put it in your pan in the oven, preheated at 350 for about 35 minutes. So it's a really, really easy cake to make. And these are the ones where they came out, and I'm going to tell you about the mistakes that were made with it, or not the mistakes, but how it was different than it usually is. So this is his, because it's in more of a nice looking pan, and I'm going to top it with its frosting, but you can kind of see that it's tacky here. It's not raw, but it is tacky, and it is very moist. These cakes are really moist. This is the one that really did not come out, and this is tacky enough to stick, but you can see that the underneath is definitely cooked. Now, I could have baked this for longer on a lower temperature, but you can see that the edges here are already starting to get a little hard. They still do have a lot of give because the cake is so moist. But the recipe always specifies that you do not want to overcook this cake, and that makes sense to me. And so I didn't bake it anymore. I'm giving it time to kind of air dry that tackiness a little bit. I've never made this cake bad. It's always come out great. So I'm not so worried about it. But it is a little alarming, and I'm wondering how much of that difference is because of the gluten-free flour. I've always had a crazy amount of success with regular flour and with the regular recipe. Now, to top this cake, I'm doing a drizzle. I'm not doing frosting. Sometimes I'll do the Pillsbury chocolate frosting. There is one that's vegan. I think it's just their regular chocolate flavor. And it's really good. Full of sugar, but it's vegan. But I've also done this cake a lot with peanut butter drizzle, and so that's what I'm doing today. The peanut butter drizzle is really easy. It is peanut butter. This is what we used. And then you put a non-dairy milk, and some of the powdered sugar. We use imperial powdered sugar because that's supposed to be the only one that is technically vegan. And so that's what we use. I don't have any measurements for you guys for that one. What I do is I put a slab of peanut butter in the bowl. I put enough of the non-dairy milk to where it's like, let me show you. You can see that it's, because I haven't put this sugar in it yet. It's like battery, right? It's not something that you think for an icing, and that's because once I put the sugar in it, it's going to thicken it. It's going to make it really sweet. Because the cake itself is sweet, but it's enjoyably sweet, and this is going to give it a little extra sweetness. And usually when I do this, it kind of hides some of that extra moisture to where it's not like you definitely need a glass of milk for this cake, even though those are my favorites. So yeah, that's what I'm making for my father-in-law, and then I am gonna be feeding the rest of my family. I wanted to show him that vegan and gluten-free food can be delicious. He knows that a lot of the vegan food can be really good, but because I have just recently started and then restarted my gluten-free journey, I haven't gotten to really expose my in-laws to too much of that. So if you have any tips or anything for gluten-free and vegan baking, definitely let me know.